It's cold outside, so I'm doing an improv video on improv quilts. So improv quilts are just like the name. They're whatever you want to do with whatever scraps you have. I tend to pick a limited palette. So I like 2 or 3 colors, and I tried to limit it to that. I did an improv challenge on social media a couple years ago, and it was so much fun, and I'll show you that quilt at the end of the video. But I picked this beautiful navy, and I picked this beautiful orange, and I also decided to pull in a dark orange. This is when my improv quilts tend to be more modernistic, but they don't have to be. Modern quilts are defined as using typically just solids, from what I heard at a quilt show recently. But I don't like to limit myself. You know, I'm an art quilter. I like to break the rules, right? So here's one of the blocks that I've already done. It's just, I'm trying to show it in the camera at a better angle. It's just some fun blue that I cut at a slight angle, and then I sewed in orange strips at different angles. And I love it. And I'll probably do another one for the quilt. So this is one that I did and just sewed I cut a black strip and an orange strip, and I cut them and swapped them. I mean, so it was like a checkerboard, right? So today, what I'm going to show you is just I'm kind of experimenting with. I took my orange fabric and my blue fabric, and I layered them on top of each other. They're cut exactly. They're not an exact square, but they're cut exactly the same. I don't know if that will really matter. We'll find out. So I decided I'm going to cut an angle in it like that. So I just have a really rough angle, nothing special. And then I'm going to cut another one the other direction. I'm not holding my rotary cutter in a very good way or safe way at all, because I'm at a weird angle the way I'm sitting with the camera. So apologize for that. And then I'm going to do it again. So now I have 4 strips with angles. And so now let's see what happens if I do this. And since I have a batik, it's really nice because I can flip it any which way I want. The blue is not a batik, but sometimes it's fun to use the wrong side of the fabric, right? So I'm going to just flip so that my large wedge is with my tiny part of my wedge. And then I'm going to put them right sides together and sew it up. I have a neutral colored thread, so I have a black thread in my sewing machine right now. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot on because I like to, with improv quilts, it is easy to get pretty wonky blocks. So I really like to at least stick with my 1/4 inch seam allowance when I'm doing it. So just making sure I'm all lined up nice and straight. And I'm just following the edge of my 1/4 inch foot. I'm not a precise sewer, but that's kind of fun. And I just finger press until I'm ready until the whole block is done, and then I will, unless I'm like cutting it, I'll just finger press it, and then I'll iron at the end. Just because this is fun and I want to just keep going. So I'm going to now do the same thing. Let's see. Turn that, and I could do the same thing and then just sew it on. Or do I want to just sew this fun angle on? I think I'll just sew this one to this blue. Like I said, it's kind of just whatever you want to do. So there we go. There's another piece sewn on. And now you can see, like, it's kind of getting wonky. And that's okay. Well, now I'll take the wide part of the wedge and sew that on to that orange part. So I'll just keep doing that, and I'll show you the block at the end. So here's my block all done. I don't know if you can tell, but it is angled a little bit funny. It's a little, you can see that my side goes curved here. Trying to see in the camera better, sorry. You can kind of see that it curves a little bit. I cannot worry about that, or if it's going to bother me as the quilt progresses, I can square it up. I may end up squaring it up because a lot of times it's easier when you're sewing these different blocks together, like this block. If I were to add this to the top here, let me see if I can turn the camera better, to the top of this one, it would fit really well, but I would need to square that off. And that's okay, I can do that. But I want to make another block before I decide to sew these together. Let me show you another quilt that I did that was improv. So this is a quilt I did that was an improv quilt a couple years ago. The challenge was orange, and you could use one other color. So I did orange and burgundy, and I think it was really fun. So you can see there's all kinds of different blocks you can do, and you can add curves so you can keep them straight. This one I really just played around with. I did like a log cabin over here. This one is just different strips sewn together. Then this one I did like a log cabin but kind of wonky. It was just a lot of fun to just kind of play around. And now remember, the bigger the block you do, the faster it will go. So if you get bored, then do big blocks. This one here is just, like I said, a bunch of strips sewn together, cut thin. And then I added some more pieces in. I don't know, there's just all kinds of things you can do. It's really fun to just play around and add some fun colors in there. Isn't this fun? I found this at Joann, and I just fell in love with it. And honestly, I don't pick a lot of fabrics at Joann because they tend to be a little on the cheaper side, and I don't often like the feel. Sometimes they don't quilt up as nice. But for years, I lived off of Joann fabric because that's all I could afford. So I found this beautiful piece, though, and I just had to have it. And as I pulled it out, I was looking for another piece of fabric to go with this beautiful navy. I thought, oh, wouldn't that be pretty? So I laid out, oh, doesn't that look gorgeous? But then as I was doing that, I had a piece, I pulled out the dark orange and laid it next to it. And I just thought, for me, I don't love it. So I decided to throw the dark orange out and throw some more gold orange in. And this even has dots, which reflects the dots kind of in this. And I just love it. So I decided that's what I'm going with. And that is how you do an improv quilt. You kind of just go off of the seat of your pants with what you have. It's really fun. Welcome to Experience the Quilt. We are a long-arm quilting business based in the Boise, Idaho area. You can drop off or ship your quilts so that we can finish them for you. We quilt all sizes, no extra charge for batting or thread. Sign up for 15% off with your first order at experiencethequilt.com.